home. Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM's online web stream. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you so much for joining us. This week marks senior night on the gridiron as the West Bloomfield Lakers football team concludes its regular season campaign against the Roseville Panthers. Senior leadership is among the reasons for those praising rising stars such as Tristan Hunter and giving them the ability to make the big leap in 2025 to becoming impact players almost immediately on the varsity level. I spoke to Tristan Hunter before last week's game about the impact of seniors on his development, as well as the keys for him making the big leap and big improvements to his game in 2025.
Well, really just having guys like Jeremiah Benson and Tank Pittman that they focus on, they forget about guys like me. So, just being able to step up in that spot where they need me when they're focusing on Jeremiah and them, it's just been able to, just put in the work, put in the effort, and just being in the weight room and working on my skills all year.
And those are both 3-year varsity players. They've had a lot of experience and played a lot of football here at West Bloomfield High School. How have you been able to learn from them and take that game then to the next level as you've stepped into this role in 2025?
Well, Jeremiah and Tank, those are two of my closest friends. They've definitely gave me a lot of tips, helped me figure it out a lot of things. And, other guys like Brandon Davis Swain, even when, he calls me sometimes, tells me hey, work on this, or, you could do this better and stuff like that. So, they did step up a lot and did help me fit in that role coming into this season.
Tristan Hunter with us on This Week in Laker Football. So far, 31 tackles, 12.5 solo through the first 7 weeks of the season. That includes 5 sacks, got in on a lot of that the last couple of weeks. And these have been tough games. There's two really tough offensive lines that you've gone up against on the defensive side, but you've been able to hold your own. How does that help with the younger players on this defense, especially the confidence level going into these final 2 weeks of the regular season, and especially as you're looking toward probably playing one of the top teams in the state in the early rounds of the playoffs?
It definitely is a confident booster, being able to go out there and compete with guys that, some guys may be seniors, some guys may be, older, stronger, bigger. Being able to hold my own, it definitely gives me that boost and energy in myself and tells me okay, you can hang with these guys. These guys ain't that much better than you. They ain't that much bigger than you. So that has helped to just being able to play big and make big plays when I'm needed.
You're also cooking on the offensive side, 8 pancakes the first 7 weeks of the season. Pretty good numbers for any offensive lineman at this level in Division I. So as you head into these final 2 weeks, especially given the last couple weeks how defenses have started to be able to figure out how to attack the backfield against the Lakers, how are you guys adjusting, keeping that confidence level high on the offensive side of the football in the trenches, where up until these last couple of weeks, and really only that last week against Clarkston, you guys have been protecting the quarterback really well?
Well, we have a tight group on that O-line. We try to, create as much chemistry as we can. So we do, as we come in practice, we always try to, say, hey, it's game speed, work like you're working in the game. So, coming to these next 2 weeks, we just working on the fundamental things, just kick stepping, getting the gaps right, getting the right blocks, being able to see that the blitz is coming. So we really just going into these next 2 weeks, we just working on, the fundamentals, the basics, and, just getting back to us and who we really are and being able to just, score a lot more points. Just protect the QB. Make sure he's not running for out the pocket and stepping up in the pocket. Giving him time.
And I'd imagine it's easy to maintain that chemistry, to build those calluses, to work at this stuff when you're winning. 5 straight wins to start the season. That builds a lot of confidence in your team. Now you've had a couple of losses under your belt, too. You can learn a lot from reacting to those 2 losses and rebuilding week in and week out with your team. How have you been able to adjust, your team been able to adjust these first couple of weeks experiencing losses when otherwise this season you had been dominating in all 3 phases against more or less all 5 opponents previously?
Well, I'd rather the losses be now than then. It did hurt, and I would like to go into the playoffs, 9-0, but things happen. OA Red is a really hard league, and, I'd rather get these experiences of these playoff-type teams because we'll end up seeing them again. We could eventually see them again later on, so I definitely feel like we're doing good adjusting, keeping a mellow head. This did bring our hunger up, losing these 2 games. This did just increase the hunger, make us not, look so much to the rankings. We did get ranked higher, and it could have hyped a couple of our heads up. So this did just bring us back down and bring us back to a level plane and just, make us bring that hunger back into us.
The reality is it's not like this has been some massive fall off for the Lakers. It's 2 consecutive losses against 2 really good teams. Oxford, it took a miracle at the end in the final 30 seconds, a score that you maybe get once in your football career, let alone your high school career for most people, for that victory to go their way. And then last week, it was a ball game up until early in the 4th quarter. Clarkston just found that next gear and was able to put up quite a lot of points in the final minutes to make it a 38-10 victory. So as you keep your heads high and you go forward this season, what are those next steps that the leaders on this team and emerging leaders like yourself are looking toward everyone in the locker room to make to finish out this regular season strong this week and next, and then be playing at your highest level when playoff time comes around?
For our captains, Kamari Pittman, Jamal, Will, JB, and them, they definitely keep the team, level. We got, Coach Cam, he always tells us do your 111. So going into this, we really just everybody got to do their role. Everybody got to play their part. Nobody can, play hero ball. Nobody can step above the team. Nobody's above the team. Nobody's below the team. We all as one. And as leaders, people with voices on the team, we like to use it in a positive way and, just say, like, we all matter. We all got to play our role. If the next one guy goes down, next man up. So, going into these next couple of weeks, we want to just say, do your 111. That's what we're preaching. Just do your 111.
And especially for linemen, you're on the offensive line, you're on the defensive line. You're one of a handful of players on this team that plays on both sides of the ball. When things are going really well, when you're making quick offensive drives, when you're making quick work of the defenses, it can be a pretty easy go of it. When you're playing a war of attrition like you were against Clarkston, can be a little tougher. But really, it's in those trenches that you set the tone, both from gameplay but also personality. So how much pride do you take in being a vocal leader on the sidelines, in the locker room, in practice, and then translating that to the way that you play on Friday nights?
I take a lot of pride in it. Freshman year I didn't play much. Sophomore year I played a decent amount. And I watched the guys coming up and how they ran things and how they did things. I try to be like my own person with my voice, try to be different. Sometimes I let my actions do more of my talking. But I definitely believe that, just stepping up and being able to, play both sides of the ball, have a voice on both sides of the ball, it's been a great experience, and it's been, a great feeling to be able to pick other people up, be able to tell other people like, hey, let's do this, or be able to be on that field with my guys and actually contribute to the wins and also take the blame when I know I'm messed up, or even when we do lose, I take the blame for them.
One thing about this Lakers team is you can see it each and every week with them on the field, and then as you observe them, if you observe a practice, if you see them before the games, if you see them talking afterwards, it doesn't seem like those wins or those losses affect them too much. They've really been able to focus on the task ahead and keep themselves level-headed. Tristan, before we let you go today, Bloomfield Hill's coming up next week, then you come back for Roseville. You got a long season hopefully ahead with the playoffs also. So as you try to stay focused on football, you try to not make your whole life about football and stress over the game. So outside of Friday nights and Monday through Friday when you're practicing, studying film, game planning, getting ready for those games, what keeps you level-headed off the field?
Really just, sometimes getting off social media, because that's all my social media is sports. So really getting off social media sometimes, taking a break, getting off my phone, hanging out with people in person. And when people around me talking about the game, I try to just, sound it out, when I don't want to hear it. After games, after, wins or losses, I celebrate with my team. And then, after that, Saturday, Sunday, I take them days to just, get myself together before we got to come back as a team Monday and pick it back up. So I try to just separate my life from personal life to football. But, end of the day, football is always around 24/7.
Always a careful balance for each and every member of that football team to stay focused on the task at hand with big games ahead and hopefully quite a long playoff campaign going on for the Lakers after this week concludes the regular season. You can follow the team all throughout the season and all throughout the playoffs on civiccentertv.com/LakersSports. Stay tuned for all new This Week in Laker Football coming very soon. And then the final regular season game on Friday night as Roseville comes to town, 7 o'clock kickoff. And then we'll have all the information you need about where and when the Lakers will play come playoff time on that same website, civiccentertv.com/LakersSports. Big changes are on the way on Orchard Lake Road, where Fire Station Number 1 will temporarily go out of service, but when it returns, it'll be among the state-of-the-art facilities making West Bloomfield a destination for first responders of the present and the future. Here with updates on the Fire Station Number 1 renovations is West Bloomfield Fire Chief Greg Flynn. Chief, thank you for joining us today.
Tyler, I love that intro, a destination place. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate having you on and glad to have you on to talk about this because the renovation process is now getting underway this week as Fire Station 1 makes its final preparations to undergo this massive renovation. So as we get to that point, as I mentioned, Fire Station Number 1 during this renovation, while it's not entirely tearing the building down, that building will be out of service. So I would guess the top question on the mind of those in West Bloomfield Township and the surrounding areas would be how is that personnel and the apparatus being divvied up amongst the rest of the township to continue service as is while Fire Station Number 1 is not in service?
Well, it's very difficult to make any improvements and keep service as is, Tyler. So there will be modifications. The Station 1 crew will, right now our plan is the station will be closing at the end of the week. We are ready to move into some testing for some abatement and some items. When these stations were built and buildings were constructed decades ago, the asbestos and some other materials that need to be abated before we can do that renovation. All that needs to take place. So we'll be exiting late this week. That will move in. And we'll start doing that testing. But rest assured, we've been planning for this. The rescue is going to move down to Fire Station Number 2. So we'll be running 2 ambulances, 2 rescues out of Fire Station 2. And the engine crew will be moving over to Fire Station 5, where we know we have the tower. So we'll be running multiple pieces of fire suppression apparatus out of Fire Station 5.
And we know this is going to be quite a significant renovation of the fire station. It's going to bring it into more of a modern setting for your firefighters and also for the response that both West Bloomfield has in the township proper and in the Tri-Cities, but also within the Oakway Partnership as well. And so as these renovations are going on, how long on paper, hopefully with everything going exactly the way it's been planned, can we expect Fire Station Number 1 to be out of service?
I think the paper aspect has us probably about this time next year. So I think we're looking at close to a 12-month renovation process. I am confident with the team that they will achieve that mark, if not even able to kind of move that along and see a little bit more of a shorter time with that. So with any renovation, the challenge is the construction team will likely come across some things that weren't accurately depicted in the drawings or some kind of underground infrastructure that was thought to be in better condition. And then those things will have to be addressed along the way. And then whatever kind of global or kind of regional issues that develop over the course of the renovation, those things will impact the time too. But we're going to remain engaged. Would love to be able to come on to the Splash and give some updates and really keep everybody up to date on the progress and really this exciting project as they see it unfold as they pass by on Orchard Lake Road.
And it's a pretty big moment for the fire department, and it's also really significant to to represent the investment in public safety that the residents of West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities have put into the West Bloomfield Fire Department, which also represents Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake with their fire service as well. And so among all the recent renovations that have been made and improvements, new apparatus, of course, the recent renovations at another nearby fire station. Now fire station number 1 undergoes these renovations. Why was now the right time for fire station number 1 to undergo some of these changes?
Fire Station 1 has been in the capital improvement plan for years now. It started probably 4 or 5 years ago with planning for a needs assessment. Then the needs assessment in the 2022-2023 range took place. And even before that, the township did a more comprehensive needs assessment throughout all of the buildings within the township, the 9 physical structures, 6 at fire, town hall, police, and water and sewer. So kind of shouldering those, the majority of those buildings, and that we use them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Station 1 built in the early 70s, and that's back when the department was a volunteer department. And the needs have changed greatly over the decades, Tyler. And Trustee Manna brought up in the meeting the dissenting vote moving forward, but he highlighted his why. And I think it's important that this isn't something that falls deaf on the fire chief or on the team that was designing. We know it's expensive to renovate a building, and we know that it's even more expensive for a multitude of reasons within government to do that. So I really want to instill a high degree of confidence with our residents that the thoughtfulness and the purposeful design components, the training tower that's going in there, how that's connecting with the community, the fire club that you've highlighted on this program. We really are looking for every single way we can take every square foot of that building and ensure that the residents know and see the value and feel that value that they're getting from those tax dollars that they trust us with. So that is not something that we take lightly. And that's why I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about the station and the things that you're highlighting here and showing some of those renderings. It's going to be a beautiful building. That's another component of it. It's in a very high vis area there on Orchard Lake Road. And it says a lot about our community when our municipal buildings are striking and speak to the presence within the community.
And then, as you mentioned, we'll get back to some of the community aspects of the plans with this renovation, but you mentioned just a moment ago that when this station was built, fire station number 1 and all of our other fire stations, they were occupied as a volunteer fire department. It's much different of a paradigm than when you have a full-time employee fire department that's serving not only West Bloomfield Township but several other communities as well in its main service area, and then also providing partnerships to neighboring municipalities through the Oakway Collective as well. And so as these changes are undergoing, what were some of the key elements that are going into fire station number 1 that we'll see come a year or so from now when it reopens that are really critical to continuing that top-notch care, top-notch service that people expect from the West Bloomfield Fire Department?
Well, a big part in delivering and meeting those expectations within the community is having all of those resources strategically placed throughout the community. And Fire Station 1 is underutilized for its ability to store caches of equipment because of its lack of space. So in the design and in some of my comments and within the Planning Commission and in front of the board and with updates to come, you'll notice a mezzanine area where we're able to store equipment and things that we'll need for response throughout the community. That will include the continued placement of apparatus with the drive-through bays in that area, which make it Orchard Lake Road's access north and south within the community and into surrounding communities. The workforce impact in hitting one of our objectives of supporting our very diverse workforce, that is going to be achieved by the move that's been, you saw this in the design of Fire Station 3, where we create the individual dorm rooms where there's a sense of privacy and quiet that our first responders can have. We know this helps to encourage resilience within their, not just the space for their physical wellness, but for their emotional wellness too. The kitchen space is, speaking of physical wellness, some improvements within that living space and the food prep area and kind of where they are for 24 hours a day. Just like your kitchen is a focal point within many of our residents' homes, so too is the kitchen at the fire station. There's some nuances all around the exterior of the building. We've got a space outside now, just like people enjoy having that space to go out and enjoy the Michigan seasons. We're going to have that now at Fire Station 1, something we haven't had in the past. And then the last thing I'll highlight here in the time is the training tower, Tyler. And this is a multi-story training tower, being able to go through evolutions of rappelling down the side of the training tower, affecting rescues off of balconies. It takes you back to images of the Heckman fire. All of these things that we know are within the community. We practice how we need to play. And we've built those elements into the training tower, and we've built elements into the apparatus room so we can train inside the facility year round.
And you mentioned earlier on, lastly, before we let you go, because it's on Orchard Lake Road, right in the heart of West Bloomfield Township, it is such a highly visible area near the high school, near the Crosswinds Shopping Mall at Orchard Lake and Lone Pine that gets so much foot traffic throughout the day. And in an area where people are walking all throughout all seasons of the year, that high visibility was also incorporated into this plan with some community spaces also on the docket for the renovations. Give us a quick overview of that and how community engagement also factored in to the new outlook for Fire Station number 1.
Well, there's definitely going to be more to come on this, because this isn't just being designed for a space for the community to engage. This is being designed for a space for the community to participate in, and building in memorial stones and things like that that will come in the weeks and months ahead as we release that. But it is what we're kind of referring to right now is the Firefighter Memorial Plaza. And you'll divert kind of off of the main sidewalk. We're going to take our 9/11 steel that has been in the training room and occasionally comes out to the big Friday night public safety hero salute game with the Lakers. That's going to be permanently placed out for the public with a very respectful stone podium and pedestal that will be on. There'll be an interactive kind of toddler size space where parents can kind of let their children out of the stroller for a little bit of break, stretch their legs, and interact with some things along that memorial walk, that plaza. So we're excited about that. It's going to be beautiful. More to come on some of those renderings as we really dial in the key components of that. But we're excited, and you're going to start seeing things happen as early as next week with the renovation starting and moving into the initial phases.
Well, we'll keep up to date with you and continue to communicate with the fire department here on Splash Live to see those renovations as they are undergoing and as the new Fire Station number 1 comes into play. Chief Flynn, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
More updates and safety information always available on their Facebook page at WB Fire Department. You can also get more updates on Fire Station number 1 and other capital improvement projects, a couple places for that. WBTownship.org, or go to our on-demand page on CivicCenterTV.com. Chief Flynn mentioned a couple of those recent meetings, the October 14th Planning Commission meeting, as well as the October 20th West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees meeting. Those are available on demand on CivicCenterTV.com. You can see those full discussions, even more renderings, even more in-depth explanation about what's going on at Fire Station number 1. And again, follow them on Facebook for even more updates and inside looks as this construction project is underway on Facebook at WB Fire Department. Close to home, West Bloomfield once again is host to one of the top restaurants in all of Southeast Michigan. For the 7th consecutive year, the Detroit Metro Times has listed Stage Deli as the #1 best deli in Oakland County, making the over 40-year institution on Orchard Lake Road even more of a destination for food lovers across the local area. Here to celebrate is the owner of Stage Deli, Steve Goldberg. Steve, thank you for coming on the show today, and congratulations once again on this big honor.
Good morning. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, glad to have you on. This is a place that people who have lived in West Bloomfield, who come through West Bloomfield, they go to the Stage Deli. They love this place, and now it's getting the love again that it deserves, continuing to be pretty dominant amongst a pretty well diverse area of delis throughout Southeast Michigan. What do you believe sets the stage apart from the competition?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've been doing this as a family for 63 years. And I'd say the #1 thing is consistency. We consistently produce excellent food and great guest experiences. We love our clientele. We love our staff. And we just love being part of the community. And I thank all the Metro Times readers and the staff for voting us again #1 in Oakland County.
And you started out, of course, your family opened this restaurant in the 60s here in Oakland County, moved into West Bloomfield in the early 80s, and has stayed here in your location on Orchard Lake Road and in this township ever since. Why West Bloomfield as the place to continue this family business and sustain it for now the majority of the time that it's been operating, almost 45 of those 60 years?
You know, it's for our restaurant, it's been a terrific, and our family, it's been a terrific love affair with the community. We love being here. It's a beautiful community. I love the values and the people. And, of course, the people who've shown their love to us. And hopefully they've had some great meals and memorable experiences there. You know, many people experience their entire life's watershed moments at our restaurant. We have all kinds of celebrations every week. And it's really gratifying to be part of the heartbeat of the community.
I've had some very important moments there as well, here with Civic Center TV and also with my family in recent years as well. It's been a place growing up in West Bloomfield that I know many families have gone to for a number of years, and well, one of the many reasons it has been honored once again by the Detroit Metro Times as the #1 deli in all of Oakland County. Steve Goldberg is the owner of the Stage Deli and joins us on the Splash Live today. More information on their website, stagedeli.com, or visit them on the boulevard on Orchard Lake Road on the east side across from the old Orchard Fitness on the boulevard just south of Powers Road. Steve, it's a difficult time, and it has been for several years, for restaurants, especially locally owned, family-owned restaurants, to sustain themselves, both to bring in customers and to maintain the business and the standards that they've had. But the Stage has been able to do that and still be quite competitive in doing that too. What do you believe is the difference maker that has continued that momentum for your organization and continue to have it be a place that people want to work, people want to patronize, and the community continues to love?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. We do things right. We take care of our staff. We use only the finest quality ingredients. We have we make so much of our product from scratch in our kitchen. We have one gentleman whose only job is to make cheese blintzes and potato latkes. So that tells you a little something. And we're not just a deli. We're a full service restaurant. We have a huge menu of dinner entrees, great fishes and steaks, and I think people love the variety. You know, you could have a chopped liver and tongue sandwich, or you could have a kale salad, or amazing broiled whitefish with soup and a couple of sides, and it's a good value.
And it's a great place to go for all that different value and all that different variety as well. You can give them a call at 248-855-6622 or visit them on stagedeli.com. Civic.com. Steve Goldberg is with us, the owner of the #1 deli in Oakland County, according to the Detroit Metro Times, and many right here in West Bloomfield Township over at the Stage Deli. It's not just a restaurant, too. You also have the deli counter that plays a big part in your business, too. And beyond that, your restaurant's open during the day, most days of the week, but every now and then you'll open it up even earlier to community gatherings like the Optimist Club, or sometimes even Rotary will have their meeting there. So how important has it been to you, especially now, 40 plus years into your family owning and operating that restaurant in West Bloomfield, to continue to incorporate it into some of the fabric of what the community means in this township?
We love to be able to do whatever we can to give back to the community. We have to do that within the constraints of our highly of our hardworking staff. But whether it's hosting a breakfast or giving to the community with food or donations, promoting particular events, we try and do what we can, and because we're very grateful. We're very grateful for the relationship with the community for going on 43 years now. It's not often that happens, and we're very cognizant of the special place that we hold in the community.
And obviously you and your family take so much pride in this. It is the family business. It's been operating since the 60s, but you also mentioned too, the team environment, taking care of your staff, making sure that they also care about the operation is such a critical part as well. How do you maintain that and those relationships? And beyond that, what do you believe about your staff makes them love working for the Stage and put that kind of pride into their work every day?
It comes down to caring. I care about my staff. One of the most gratifying parts of my job is to see my staff gain expertise, to thrive, to raise families. I have over 50 staff members who all have families. They put them through school, colleges, and they come back. The kids come back, and they're doctors and lawyers, and it's a wonderful feeling that the Stage Deli and our efforts have been able to accomplish that. And taking care of people they'll take care of you. Just, you be good to people.
Since 2019, been awarded the Detroit Metro Times #1 deli in Oakland County, hoping to go for year number 8 next year in 2026. Steve, before we let you go, any other message to your team, to the community, as you receive this honor and continue to be one of the staples and the destinations for people looking for a good bite to eat in West Bloomfield?
Well, I'm just incredibly humbled by the nod and the award, and just vow to keep working every day to make each day better than the next, and love what we do.
Well, Steve, we appreciate you joining on and want to extend our congratulations to you and to your team once again for this big honor, the 7th consecutive year you've received this award.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.
Glad to have you on. More information on the Stage Deli is available on stagedeli.com. You can visit them on Orchard Lake Road. It's on the boulevard just south of Powers Road. That's right around where you'd go for the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show every summer. They're open all throughout the week. Again, stagedeli.com. Follow them on social media as well. Facebook at Stage Deli and on Instagram at stagedeli_MI for even more information, and of course to see some of that food, get you appetized for a good meal today or any day of the week. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, we're on the doorstep of Halloween, how you can keep yourself, your kids, and your community safe as we celebrate the spookiest time of the year. That's coming up next. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be 1 in a million.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social, welcome back to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and audio simulcast on our live stream of 89.3 Lakes FM, also available on civiccentertv.com. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us. Halloween in the WB is on its way, and as parents and their little ones venture into their neighborhood to trick-or-treat, and others gather costume-laden celebrations in their homes and other places across the community, there are plenty of things to consider to keep the holiday lighthearted and keep the holiday also safe, of course, as we celebrate Halloween. Here with even more insight is West Bloomfield Police Department Community Relations Officer Zena Daly. Officer Daly, thank you for joining us as always as we dive into some of the details that go behind one of the most fun holidays of the year.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on because there's quite a lot to dive into this. It's all pretty simple and straightforward as families go out for Halloween. They're either going to maybe have small get-togethers at their house, dress up in their costumes, or they'll take their kids out to trick-or-treat. But there's a lot of hidden potential hazards within that people should be aware of, not necessarily scared of. So what are some of the highlights of that, especially for parents that will be going out and about with their kids on Halloween night?
For our trick-or-treaters, we always want to be sure that we're staying in groups, or especially if some of the preteens, teens are on their own, you want to make sure that they're in groups and not just going individually, and that parents know what route the kids will be taking so that if they do call them in an emergency, they know where they're headed to. So, of course, you want to stay in your groups. You want to make sure the little guys are looking, and even the older kids are definitely looking both ways, because as you know, we always have distracted drivers on the road, and it's dark out. Sometimes these kids are not wearing reflective gear, so the kids need to also be aware and look both ways before they're crossing the street to get to another house. If there's sidewalks, let's use those. That's ideal. If not, of course, stay either on the grass at the edge or very close to the grass. That way, you're away from the vehicles that are kind of coming to and from through the subdivisions. And of course, kids, before you guys do eat your candy, you want to make sure that your parents do check them, make sure there's no open wrappers or anything that looks suspicious. If there is, please make sure you guys toss that out and check the rest of the candy. For our drivers that are out there, again, young and old, I would say be very careful. Drive slowly. Let's keep our electronics off. Out of view so that we were paying attention to all of the pedestrians that are walking. Like we all know, kids will just dart across the street if they see something that looks exciting or like maybe they're giving out some really good candy. So let's be aware, drive slowly, and make sure we're watching those kids that come between the cars. And that's usually where I think, when you're not paying attention, the first thing that happens is the kid comes between a car and you're very close to them. So I would say, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, and to consider that for drivers too, because it's one of the first things you learn in driver's training, or you have to learn as you're undergoing some additional driver's training later on, is that you're supposed to yield to pedestrians. But this is an interesting night because in your neighborhood, or even out on some of the township roads here in West Bloomfield, there's going to be people walking in the streets or across the streets a little bit more than normal. Does that change any of the expectations for drivers in our neighborhoods especially?
I would say you still need to yield. Absolutely. Drive slower than you normally would because there's so much more foot traffic. So if just to be cautious, just drive a little bit slower to get to where you're going. In the same side, the pedestrians also have a responsibility of paying attention to the vehicles that are driving through the subs, and that they're not running out in front of them, that they have their kids' hands if they're very young, just that they're very, very careful and paying attention to where their kids are as they get closer to the street.
There have been in the past some curfews, and I know other communities also implement curfews that say these are the times during Halloween night that you're permitted to be out and doing trick-or-treating. Sometimes it's neighborhood dependent, sometimes it's municipality dependent. Are there curfews in place in West Bloomfield that you're aware of, at least from the police department and the township?
As far as I know, typically it's 6 to 9 p.m. And I know some kids do go a little later, and those are usually the older kids, the preteens, the teens. But after 10 o'clock, I would say absolutely don't. I would not open your door. I would turn the lights off and be done with it.
All right, so we'll flip to the other side of this dynamic now, from the trick-or-treaters to the homeowners, because a lot of them love to get involved in Halloween, passing out the candy, getting to know some of the families in the community. It's a great way to do that, but it's also quite a vulnerable position to have people coming up to your doorstep, knocking on your door, seeing inside of your home. What are the tips from the police department for homeowners, especially those that will be participating face-to-face with trick-or-treaters in their neighborhood?
So if you're gladly opening up your door and passing out candy, but you feel uncomfortable with someone that's coming to your door, let's say your doors, sometimes the doors are completely closed and the kids have to knock and wait for someone to come to the door. If you're not comfortable, then just don't answer the door. You don't have any obligation, even if your porch light is on, to answer the door and pass out candy. So, and if you feel like there's a danger, then absolutely call the police department and let us come out and check it out. Just don't open the door, give us a description of what you see and why you were afraid. If you don't want to pass out candy, please make sure that, so that you're not disturbed, turn your porch light off for at least that time period. I know you probably want it on through the night, which I always encourage lights on around the house. But during that time period, I would keep the porch light off so that kids know we're not passing out candy here. And once again, if you are passing out candy, please be aware of your pets. Make sure that as you're opening up that door, they're not able to run and dart out, and either attack the kids, or even if they're friendly, still running out and into the road. So you definitely want to be careful with that.
And even more of these helpful tips are currently available on the West Bloomfield Police Department's Facebook page. Follow them at West Bloomfield PD for even more information. Officer Zena Daly is with us on the Splash Live today, Community Relations Officer for the West Bloomfield Police Department, as we get ready to celebrate Halloween in West Bloomfield on Friday, October 31st. Officer Daly, a lot of other people will have gatherings in their home for Halloween also, another alternative that people, especially adults, whether it's on that Friday night, a perfect night for a gathering like that, or over Halloween weekend. Any advice for those homeowners that are going to be bringing people in for parties at their house to keep themselves safe, as well as those that they are hosting?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I will start with our younger, our preteens, our teens that do now start to go to Halloween parties instead of either partaking in Halloween trick-or-treating or, like you said, between this week and Halloween where they are having parties. Make sure the parents or an adult, a trusted adult, know where they are, have the address if they're driving themselves or driving with a friend. Make sure that an adult, your parent, knows where you are. If you have an iPhone, you can have that Find My option, and if not, and you have something along the lines of, there are apps, something like Life 360, where you can kind of track each other's location. Parents, if you do have those in place, make sure that those are working properly and that you do check them just in case, or if you're worried, or if your kid calls you or texts you and something unusual seems to be happening. If you feel uncomfortable at one of these parties, I would suggest immediately call your family member, have them come pick you up. But if you feel like you're in a dangerous situation, an unsafe situation, I would call the police department, go to the bathroom, leave the house, and call us immediately, and we'll come out.
Yeah,
if you're adults that are, what's that? I'm sorry.
Please continue.
Yep. Oh, so if you're going to adult parties where there are adult beverages, there's alcohol involved, please make sure that you have a sober driver. Make sure that you have Uber set up so that you can at least have a ride home, just as long as you are not the one driving home. Way too many people out there, a lot of traffic. If it's on Halloween, a lot of kids, and that's the last thing that you want. That's something that we want. So we just want to make sure that you remember, have your designated driver set in place.
Yeah, definitely an even more important message as Halloween falls on a Friday night this year, a night where many adults will go out and have their fun for Halloween, and their own celebration may involve those adult beverages, and then have the combination of that with kids out and about in the community trick-or-treating on Halloween proper. So all important information. Officer Daly, you mentioned earlier on, for parents and for kids especially, you mentioned for the kids, make sure your parents are able to check through your candy before you start consuming it after you go trick-or-treating. Really important message, and especially nowadays with all the different hazards that are potentially out there from people looking to do wrong by our kids, especially. For parents, what specifically should they be looking for as they investigate the candy their kids bring home?
I would say always make sure if there's an open package, you toss it out. If there's holes in it, you want to make sure that in their bags, it may not be the candy, but while you sift through their bags, I would, instead of putting your hand in the bag, I would lay it out just for needles, razors, or anything of that type. You don't want to get stuck with any of that.
More information, helpful tips available on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD on the night of course, and anytime. If there's emergency, dial 911 and get in contact with our first responders right away. Even more important to have that message as we head into Halloween on a Friday night. Officer Daly, before we let you go, any other important advice that we haven't covered yet or other things people should be considering as we head toward Halloween in West Bloomfield?
Just make sure you're safe. Make sure that you have your designated drivers as you're going from parties between now and Halloween, and always, of course. Make sure that you know where your kids are, their location, that you have that conversation with your kids, our older kids, our preteens, our teens. Make sure we have the conversation of if you feel unsafe, you need to call us. If you feel uncomfortable, let's have a safe word. For your younger kids, when you do go out to, whether it's a trunk or treat event or it is on Halloween trick or treating, if your kids don't know your phone number, write on a piece of paper, something I do with my own kids, and if they don't have a pocket to put your phone number in, put it in their shoe, put it in their sock, so that if something does happen and you're separated, they at least have a contact for you.
And all good information as well. You can get even more advice if you need it. The police department's non-emergency number is 248-975-9200, 248-975-9200. A good number to call in a, of course, non-emergency situation for any advice regarding safety of your home, your business, of course, your kids right here in West Bloomfield Township, or follow them on their Facebook page at West Bloomfield PD. Officer Daly, thank you as always for your insight.
Thank you so much.
Once again, facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD. They just recently posted a graphic up there that you can see a lot of this advice in one sentence form. Write that down, jot that down. Food for thought as we head into the Halloween holiday in Greater West Bloomfield. And of course, we're hoping you all celebrate safe as well. Close to home, local business people get their due recognition for their service to the community and their impact in making our local small business environment thrive. Civic Center TV's Jake Schaff has more.
The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce put together an incredible celebration to celebrate so many of the change makers here in the community. The Key to the Township Awards took place right here at the Wabi Country Club to celebrate so many powerful and impactful members of the Greater West Bloomfield community. And I was able to speak to some of those award winners and some of the visitors of this year's event to hear what they had to say.
Well, it's a great honor to be among leaders, business leaders, and community leaders who make a big difference in the lives of many residents in the Greater West Bloomfield Township. There's no community that thrives without commerce. And that's why it's important that we recognize business leaders who not only succeed in business in their communities, but they also give back to the community that they do business at. And those individuals who are being honored today, they fit that description. They're successful at what they do, and they also give back to the community.
What is it like to be here today and being recognized here at the Key to the Township Awards?
Man, it's a little overwhelming in the best way possible, of course, but it's exciting just to see the community come together to celebrate. You know, we stay busy throughout the year, and taking that time out to just be together to celebrate the wins from the year is really very special, I think.
I'm so grateful for this. I never thought in a million years that I would be getting honored and getting an award for something that is truly my passion. It's an awesome feeling. I'm here with my husband and my son, and you know, my son's watching all this and he's seeing it all unravel, and he sees that anything you put your mind to, no matter what, you can actually achieve it. So he's definitely seeing that.
I'm really honored and really happy about this reward today. I feel entitled, and it's an honor for me to share that prize with the people I love and the people I serve. It's an honor for me to be here with this beautiful audience. I hope that will be something that will be going on and on every year.
it's really exciting to honor these great individuals. There's so many that we could honor, and hopefully every year we will repeat this. But I think the most important thing to remember is that anyone can be a local hero. Anyone can help our community survive. Anyone can help us support it, because really small businesses especially are the backbone of our country, and anything we can do to keep them in business is really a great thing for our West Bloomfield Township area.
I feel like everybody should take away the knowledge that it's important to be a part of a community. It's important to give to that community. It's important to participate in that community. It's important to go to the business restaurants, whatever, if they have online services. It's important to honor the people that are in your community doing the business and providing the services. So hopefully people attending this event will understand how important it is to support one another and to shout it out to the broader community.
It's so great to hear about all of the incredible work that's being done throughout the entire community within the past year, and I can't wait to see what's to come in the many years that follow. A big congratulations to all of the award winners, and a big thank you to the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for everything that they do for the community. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
More information on Chamber events can be found on their website, westbloomfieldchamber.com. Appreciate the story, Jake. The holidays are on their way, and it's never too early to start shopping for that special gift for that special person in your life. And what better way to do that than by supporting local businesses in the process? There's a one-stop shop to take care of both, soon to pop up right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. I spoke to organizer Allison Kuhn from Shop Sylvan to learn more. Allison, thank you for coming on the show today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Happy to have you on as we get ready for November 9th, noon to 4 p.m. when Shop Sylvan returns to the Sylvan Lake Community Center. For those not familiar with it, maybe they didn't join in last year, what is Shop Sylvan? How can people get involved?
So Shop Sylvan is a local art, it's more of an art show that is some crafts, but also we also have a lot of food, and it is a celebration of the residents of Kego and Sylvan. So we have a lot of local people, it's all local, who are providing their goods and wares and their art that they want to share with the community.
And this year has a particular theme. The focus is on, quote unquote, artisan small business excellence. How does Shop Sylvan highlight and support local businesses and local makers in this way with an event like this at the Sylvan Lake Community Center?
Right. Thank you so much for asking that. So what we do is it's a highly vetted process. We have a long list of people who would love to be part of Shop Sylvan, but we are very particular about what we pick. We want it to be super high quality. We want people to come in and have items that they actually really, really want to buy. And this year we are focusing on people who have never been a part of Shop Sylvan before. So we have a lot of new artists that will be there. And even some jewelry makers and clothing makers who will be making stuff for you on the spot. So you can get unique items that you can't get anywhere else, tailored to just exactly your taste.
And that's going to be on November 9th, noon to 4 p.m. at the Sylvan Lake Community Center if you want to shop there. In terms of makers, is the window now at this point closed to try to get in on the experience this year? And if that is the case, when should they be considering putting their name in the hat for 2026?
Yes, it is closed, and it has been closed for a while. We're limited by a certain amount of space. But if they would love to be considered for the future. Again, it is a Sylvan and Kego focused residence. There's so much talent in this area. We have such a long list, but we would love to hear from anybody who is interested in being a part of it. They can contact us on social media at Shop Sylvan on Instagram. And we'd love to see their social media and what they're doing. And we would always love to take a peek and consider them for the future.
That's, again, on Instagram at Shop Sylvan. That's SHOPPE Sylvan. Yes. No space, no underscore, the Shop Sylvan on Instagram. And as you mentioned, there's so many great makers and artists in the Tri-Cities area, in particular in Kego, in Sylvan Lake. Art Sale is an organization that really highlights them all throughout the year, and we see that at shows all across Oakland County, including at yours coming up at Shop Sylvan. So with all that talent, with so much interest in participating in Shop Sylvan, how did you and your team ultimately decide on the crop of makers and small business owners that will be featured at this year's event?
Yes. Okay. So it is. We always wanted. This year we're trying to offer some new artists that haven't been, because we do have such a long list of people that want to be a part of it. We're trying to give everybody a chance. We do have a couple returners just because they're a big draw. So we want all of the vendors to be successful. We would love every single one of them to sell out. That would be our goal. So we have a couple that, and then we do have some brick and mortars from the area. Sylvan Table, Lost Sailor, are all going to be there. So they think Local Acre is another one that will be there selling their goods. And that will bring a draw of residents who know them, so that then the new people can get a chance to be for exposure.
And there's a lot of love between Sylvan Lake and Keagle Harbor and the other areas in the Greater West Bloomfield community, outskirts into Waterford and Pontiac. It's all a very friendly, sort of a family environment, kind of a sibling rivalry in some aspects. But with something like this, when you have those deep roots in these communities, and then individually in each one of these cities, how does something like this help to further bridge some of the gaps that may be there between these communities, but still, even more so, bring these communities, both individually and collectively, even closer together?
Yeah, we actually love that, because I think when you have the option to shop local and support your neighbor, as opposed to a big Target or something like that, I think if you think, oh my gosh, I need a gift, let me call my neighbor who makes sourdough, and it gets delivered, locally in my neighborhood, it's a much better feeling, and it kind of brings us all together. And hopefully what it will also do is inspire some people living in those areas to maybe let their passion shine and start a little kind of company of their own selling their goods.
Allison Kuhn is with us, the COO of Shop Sylvan, which will be November 9th from noon to 4 p.m. at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. If you want more information, see some of the makers from last year's event and follow along for this year. They are on Instagram at Shop Sylvan. That's SHOPPE, Sylvan, on Instagram for more information and to follow along with them. And looking through the pictures from last year, and you mentioned this also, there's artisans of so many different varieties, vendors of so many different varieties that were at last year's event. I expect a lot of the same this year. What is on the docket? What will people see when they go to the Sylvan Lake Community Center?
So we have a clothing company and a jewelry company that will be making stuff on site, so you can get a unique item right then and there. But also we have some surprises in store. As you know, we do tend to come around the crowd and pass out goodies from local places free of charge. And we do have a $2 entry fee. We hope that helps to make it accessible for everyone that lives in those communities. We'd love to see our residents at this event. And yeah, that's there's a couple. We'll have ice cream, chocolate, the sourdough, a soup person this year. So some really good food out there. And then we have also always the lotion. We have a new tallow company, candles, paintings this year. So it'll be it's pretty diverse. We're very excited for it.
It's a great environment, wide open area at the Sylvan Lake Community Center that's perfect for walking through and seeing all these different vendors from right here in your community in a very well-controlled environment through what can often be a difficult fall in the state of Michigan. It'll be a lovely day out there, November 9th, noon to 4 p.m., Shop Sylvan at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. And you've mentioned this in the past with us, and it's part of your entire mission statement, that this is not a fundraiser or necessarily just a straight-up PR opportunity for these local businesses. It's a mission-driven party. It's a celebration of these local businesses, which even goes back to the admission price that customers have going in, actually going to these vendors too, collectively at the end of the day. Talk about why that was an important part of the mission behind Shop Sylvan, to keep that impact not only for that direct shopper to business opportunity, but also to have the funds from the admissions also still in some way go back to these vendors.
Yeah, again, like we're saying, we want the vendors to be successful. My partner Kelly Krause and I, this is a labor of love. We love Sylvan, we love Kego, we love where we live. It is an amazing community. The people are wonderful, and this is our gift back to them. Her and I together, we love to do this, and we just want to make sure that the wonderful people of these communities are highlighted and get to show off what they're doing. Again, we believe in shopping local so much more than a big corporate that doesn't really make a difference to anybody, a bottom line. But there was one vendor who sold out last year who was able to pay for her honeymoon. So that's like that to us is such a special story and an important gift to our community. And hopefully also what we hope happens is that even if you peruse through Shop Sylvan on November 9th, you don't purchase anything, but 6 months later you think of something you need a gift for or something you need for yourself, or you just don't want to cook dinner that night. So you think of one of these places that's coming in your mind to use and to patronize.
And it's right around that time. It's a short time after Halloween. It's a few weeks before Thanksgiving, but it's right in that very early window where people start to think about the holidays. They're looking for that perfect gift. And there's something so unique about finding an interesting item or something that a friend or a family member would really enjoy that's been made by someone you can look at, you can talk to, you see all the time. Why is this a great place to go for people that are looking for those interesting trinkets early on before the holidays that are going to be a big hit come the end of the year?
Right. So, yeah, I think, again, you can get things that are so unique to you. The clothing company and the jewelry company, for example, my father-in-law is getting a little bit older, and I plan to make some bracelets for my family members this year with his handwriting that says "I love you." So that's something that you could never get anywhere else. There's going to be paintings this year of Sylvan Lake, different scenes around Sylvan. So again, if you're passionate about Sylvan Lake, so many of the residents are, you could get a gift there that's just unique that you can't get anywhere else. And so we are really excited to let all of those vendors shine.
And finally, Allison, this is one of many different events that happens all throughout the years that ties Sylvan Lake together, that helps to build those bonds between Sylvan and Kego and other neighboring areas in the lakes section of southeastern Michigan. How does Shop Sylvan tie into that larger vision for maintaining that unity, that small town feel, and that personal nature that comes with being in a city like Sylvan Lake, in an area like the Tri-Cities?
Yeah, I think, you walk into that community center where we do have a lot of events and for the residents of Sylvan and Kego, and you'll see your neighbors. If you've ever been in the community center, there's a beautiful fire. We'll have that going. We will have a one-man band singing. So it will be a party with capital ART, an art party. And again, hopefully you'll run into your neighbors. They'll tell you about something they've purchased that they love. You can say, oh my gosh, I've never tried that. Let me go get some. Stuff like that. Just building the sense of community between the people who live here. And I think, so even if you don't even purchase anything, just running into your neighbors, having a good time, maybe taking some free samples, and just enjoying a Sunday afternoon with your friends.
Getting to see the talent and the passion from people right here in your community. A great way to kick off the later portion of the fall as we wrap up the year in the prettiest little city in Michigan. Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You can follow Shop Sylvan on Instagram at Shop Sylvan. That's shop with 2 P's, SHOPPE, Sylvan on Instagram. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always available on demand on CivicCenterTV.com and across our social media. Big thank you to our crew for making today's show possible, and of course to you for joining in. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, this has been The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.